Hey, it's Mike with Easy Guitar Theory here today to talk about the open major chords. We're going to be looking at chord diagrams, so let's talk about a couple things on chord diagrams first. One, your fretting hand, which for a right-handed guitar player is going to be your left hand. For a left-handed guitar player is going to be your right hand. Your first finger is going to be your index finger, your middle finger is your second finger, your ring finger is your third finger, and your pinky is your fourth finger. We've talked about hand position in one of the lessons, and I'll touch on some more of that as we go. So you're going to be trying to put your fingers on certain strings. The first chord we're going to look at today is going to be the A chord. I've taught a lot of different people, and some people need to try different fingers and maybe 2 fingers instead of 3, or maybe they need to try some different techniques. So keep open to the fact that you may use different fingers depending upon what you're playing and where you're going. It's not always set in stone. We're going to put our first finger on 4th string, 2nd fret. So we count up from the bottom because the first string's on the bottom. We count 4 strings up and we go to 2nd fret, 4th string. Then we're going to put our second finger right below that on 3rd fret, 2nd fret, 3rd string, excuse me. Then we're going to put our third finger on 2nd string, 2nd fret. So we have 3 fingers all on 2nd fret on 4th string, 3rd string, and 2nd string. Now if you look at your chart, you'll see O's at the top and X's. X's are strings that you don't want to strum, and O's are strings that you would strum open. So with this chord, we're going to strum the bottom 5 strings. Now you want to have your thumb back here helping you push down behind the back of the neck. You want to try to get them as close to the fret as possible. Well, on a chord like this, it's really hard to get your first finger close to that fret. You might hear some buzzing as you're trying to develop your finger strength and your callus. But so you want to strum the bottom 5 strings, and you're trying to get a good clean tone out of each string. All right. So then we're going to move to the next chord. We're going to look at a C chord. So we're going to take our fingers off. Our first finger now is going to go to 2nd string, 1st fret. And this is what I always tell all my students. Find the first finger note and get that. Then find the second finger note and get that. So our second finger on this chord is on 4th string, 2nd fret. And then our third finger is on 5th string, 3rd fret. Now, stretching is going to be difficult. There's going to be a lot of stretching on a chord like this. If you're new and just starting out, or if you're an older player and you've having maybe some arthritis issues, stuff like that, some of these chords are going to be hard. Keep working on them. Your fingers will get stronger. Things can get better. You know, some chords will be easier, so maybe focus on some of those because they sound better. You have more fun with that. So now we're on our C chord. We're going to strum the bottom 5 because we've got an X on the top string on the 6th string. Now a C chord is one where a lot of fingers tend to fall over and mute out other strings. We talked about that in hand position, where you want to have a good 90-degree angle coming down on the strings. You don't want to be touching more than one string, or you're not going to hear that other string. So these are things that will improve as you practice and as you develop your finger strength and build up some callus on your fingers. All right, the next chord we're going to look at is a D. Again, find the first finger first. That is on 3rd string, 2nd fret. Then the second finger is on 1st string, 2nd fret, and the third finger is on 3rd fret, 2nd string, or 2nd string, 3rd fret. For this chord, we have the top 2 X'd. You can get away with strumming the bottom 5, but also better to strum the bottom 4 in a lot of cases. Here's bottom 4 on a D right here. And here's bottom 5. It works either way. Next chord we're going to look at is an E chord. So we're going to put our first finger on 3rd string, 1st fret, second finger on 5th string, 2nd fret, third finger on 4th string, 2nd fret. A lot of people really do well with an E chord when they're just starting out. Again, a good thing about this chord also is you can strum all 6 strings. So there's your E. You can also do a slow strum on each string, and you can do this for all your chords. Now, I wouldn't say to get too far into this because you're going to have some bad notes here and there when you're starting out, but you want to go slowly through the strings and make sure that each string sounds clear. Like, if something's wrong, I'll give you an example. Oh, my finger's falling over the string. And all right, so the next one we're going to look at is G, and then that will be the last of the open major chords. First finger is going to go to 5th string, 2nd fret. Second finger goes to 6th string, 3rd fret. Third finger goes to 1st string, 3rd fret. This is another stretchy chord. You know, it can be a little difficult. You're going to strum all 6, although this is another chord that a lot of beginners tend to do pretty well with. So you can strum all 6 of the strings there. Now we're going to look at a couple things we can do with these chords as practice. We'll just do some basic down strums, and we'll give you a chance to switch chords by having a pause after a strum. So what we're going to do first is we're going to start with an E chord, and I'm going to show you a different way to play the A chord that actually will maybe be a faster transition from the E chord to the A chord. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to an E chord. We're going to pick the 6th string twice and then strum the bottom 5 after that. Then we're going to switch to an A chord, but what we're going to do is we're just going to bring our 2nd finger and our 3rd finger down 1 string apiece. Then we're going to add our pinky instead of the way we did it originally on the A chord. So now you're making your A with your 2nd, 3rd, and 4th fingers, but this is an easier move, and you could even keep your 1st finger back where it is because you're going to be going back to that E in a second. This is going to be a repeating pattern. So now you're down on A, you're going to pick the 5th string twice and strum the bottom 4 strings. All right. We want to do this really slow, but this is to a 4 count. So each of the bass notes get 1 count apiece, and the strum gets a hold for a 2 count. So it's like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Kind of like a Tom Petty song. See if you can figure out which one I'm talking about. Let's talk about the open notes of the strings and why some of the notes in these open chords are not played and why they are played. Like if you look at an A chord and you think about the open notes of the strings, you'll see that the open 5th string is actually an A note. Well, that 5th string note is the root note of that chord. It's the A that gives you that A chord. There are 2 other notes in there that make it an A chord, but that's the root note or the main note of the chord. So if you look at the D chord, the open 4th string, that's the D. If you look at the E, the open top 6th string, that's the root note of that chord. And you'll also look at when we were doing the little E to A transition, we were picking the bass note of the E and then strumming the chord. So we're picking the root note and then strumming the rest of the notes, which include E and a couple others. And then we're on the A, we're picking the 5th string twice, so we're strumming the root note, or we're picking the root note and then strumming the rest of the chord. You're playing the root notes as part of your bass line. So let's look at another just a chord strumming practice. It's from an old punk tune almost called Stepping Stone, or the basic progression. This is done totally different than they would do it. It's a good way to work on several of your open major chords. What we're going to do is we're going to start with an E. I'm going to say let's do 3 strums on each chord, and we're going to pause for the fourth count. That's going to give you more time to change chords, because when you're first changing chords, you're going to have to play this stuff really slow, really slow, and this is the key to all learning in this guitar, is to play things slow and then speed them up later. Speed it up gradually, bit by bit. If you can't do it as fast as you need to do it, get a metronome or something like that to help you slow down and slow it down and learn it slower, and then gradually speed it up. That's like the key to some stuff. But so we're going to do 3 strums, but with a 4 count on 4 chords, from E to G, and then A, and then C. So it's 3 strums on each chord with a little pause where the 4th strum would be, and that's the 4th count. So I'll try to do this really slow for starters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I just ended on the E chord. We're going to throw a little bit of a twist here with the strumming pattern. One of them is just G, C, D, and then possibly either going back to the C or something like that. But something like this. So what I'm doing is a down, 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 up. And I'm incorporating something that we call a transition strum, which means it's an open strum. You're moving the fingers of your fretting hand while your strumming hand is strumming. It gives you a little bit of time in between chords to move, and I'll talk about this more in depth when we get into harder strumming patterns. But here's just so we're doing a down, 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 up. Now, I'm kind of emphasizing the transition strum a little bit so you can hear it better. It's really something you want to downplay, but you're basically lifting your fingers from one chord to another, so you don't want to accent that strum. You want to downplay. So when you're really just playing, notice, you almost don't notice that it's there, but the transition strum is there helping you be able to move your fingers a little faster and giving you a little time on that fretting hand. That's a pretty common chord progression. Another similar chord progression would be E, A to D. So something like notice there, you don't have to follow the strumming pattern. If you just want to work on strumming an E, switching to an A, whichever version of A works best for you, D, back to A. So there's our look at the major chords today with some strumming patterns and some different ways to change the chords. We're going to head to the open minor chords next. Thank you guys for tuning in. It's Mike here at Easy Guitar Theory.